Hi, gang. I hope that's not reversed when you're looking at it. The why question. The why question. Why did Republicans derail the effort for there to be a 9/11 style commission looking at the events of January 6th? And don't give me the simple answer, which, by the way, I've been saying myself. The simple answer is to say, well, because they didn't want all that bad information coming out just on the cusp of the midterm election, the 2022 midterm election. No, I have a different question, which is, why didn't Mitch McConnell seize this opportunity to derail Donald Trump for 2024? And I shall answer that question for you in just a moment. First of all, this is kind of cool. Montreal, Central Europe, Austria, Houston, Texas, Chester County, Long Island. Wow. People are here from all over. And I know why you are here. So let's get to it. Because you know that 8 hours ago, I was in this same chair, guest hosting for Chris Cuomo on Primetime. And you want to see, is he still standing? And what do those eyes look like? So take a look, because we're going to do this together. They're pretty red, right? Shall we do it? My ophthalmologist says this is better stuff than Visine. What do I know? I hate putting things in my eyes. But I waited for all of you before I did this, in case there's spillage. I know you're going to want to see this, so I'm going to tilt up. All right, let's go. I think that was a pretty good one on the right eye. Let's do the left. Yeah, it's brutal because Chris's show is on at 9 p.m. to 10. I get up at 4:30 typically. I'm out of bed by 5. So yesterday was a long day, but I think that the show went pretty well. And then when I leave the studio and I go home, and last night it was just torrential. For those of you who are from Philly, it was so bad that on the way home last night, and I was driven, but there was flooding on the Schuylkill, and there was a car that I didn't see it happen, but I think the water was a distraction, and it crashed into the median strip. And I called 911 last night. They said that somebody else had already placed the call, but damn, you hate to see that. All right. I know my eyes are going to look really inflamed for a moment, but then they'll clear, and it works out pretty well. So how was that? A little added bonus for you on this Memorial Day weekend, right? Actually, I have another treat for those of you who are tuned in. So here it is. I am really excited. I don't know, because I'm going to find out from Catherine, my executive producer at CNN, very soon. But I think we're going to work into today's CNN program some of our new graphic package. And on the screen behind me, I'm going to show you something that I probably should not show you. So this is the effect that it should have. Let me just back up a little bit. Are we enjoying this today? It's an unusual YouTube Live, isn't it? Like that, something like that. What do you think? I mean, you're seeing it in very rudimentary fashion. So the reason that I'm digging it is because you've got Independence Hall, you've got City Hall, you've got the newer skyline. It's probably the Ben Franklin, not the Walt Whitman Bridge, coming into Center City. And I like the purple tones. And I think there's some black and gray in there as well. So my noggin, Jamal, you like it, huh? Roman, you like it? Mary Coyle likes it? Yukari likes it? Sean Nichols says, kind of monochromatic. If I knew what that meant, I would respond to you, Sean. I have no idea. Glare on that screen, Eric. Well, come on, Eric. I'm holding up my freaking laptop. Believe me, when we do it for real, it'll look nice. Yeah. So there are two benefits already. You got to see the NAFCON A treatment and the new graphic package. We're ahead of the game. Let me just say a word, if I may, about this 9/11 style commission. It's my nature. I want to know everything. I wish there were a 9/11 style commission looking at the events of January 6th. And, there are a lot of things that I would like to know. The LA Times had a good piece that we linked to yesterday at smirconish.com, the questions that won't get answered if there's not a 9/11 style commission. And by the way, I hope you're registered for the free daily newsletter. You really should be. So at the top of the list of the Times, and also at the top of my list is, well, what was President Trump doing the afternoon of January 6th? Yeah, I'd like to know that. What was his reaction as he was watching, presumably on television, the unrest and the forced entry at the Capitol? Also, whether there was interconnection between different of these militia-style groups, whether they had any help from any law enforcement. These are all things that I think are legitimate, and I'd like to know. Last night on Cuomo's program, I said that the news that there will be no 9/11 style investigation, that there were not 10 Republicans willing to support the inquiry, had to get to 60 votes because of the filibuster. It sounds bewildering. It sounds disinterested. It sounds even cold. I then wondered why these legislators are going to go home. These senators are going to go home for an extended weekend and Memorial break, and they're going to probably pay homage to those who gave their lives in service to our country. But why don't they show that same level of support and empathy for the Capitol Hill police? And then yada, yada, yada. At the end of my commentary, I said, it's all very simple, actually. It's about winning. It's about winning insofar as they want to retake the House. They want to retake the Senate. McConnell wants to be the Senate Majority Leader. Kevin McCarthy wants to be in Nancy Pelosi's chair. And they think that if bad news comes out right at the cusp of the midterm elections, that it doesn't bode well for their parties and for them to retake control of those two chambers. But there's a more intriguing question, which is the one that I led with when first saying hello today. So the New York Times, page one above the fold, Nicholas Fandos says, the vote was a stark display of political self-interest by Republicans determined to shield themselves from an inquiry that could have publicly tarnished their party. They feared an investigation that would remind voters of the consequences of Donald J. Trump's election lies and how Republican lawmakers indulged them, spurring their supporters to violence. All of that is true. But the better question is, why didn't Mitch McConnell seize this as an opportunity to be rid of Donald Trump? In other words, there's no good news about President Trump that could come out from such an inquiry, right? It would have to be a pretty stinging portrayal of him stoking that crowd on the morning of January 6th, going back to the White House, and then sitting back while Rome was burning. So why wouldn't McConnell, under the guise of, hey, my constituents are calling for it and it's the right thing to do, and Schumer gave us everything we were looking for, we're going to have an equal number of representatives on this commission, we're each going to be able to appoint them, blah, blah, blah. I've got to let it happen. And then sit back and let the 9/11 style commission do the dirty work of developing a case against Trump such that it could take Trump out of the running for 2024. The idea that this is a bit hypothetical and a bit not. Let's just imagine that President Trump is in that anteroom off of the Oval Office, and he's watching all of this unfold on his television screens, and he's getting reports from Capitol Hill, and he's getting, a phone call, for example, from Kevin McCarthy, and the two of them are on the phone, and McCarthy's like, hey, call these people off. And Trump says, oh, Kevin, I guess they care more about the election result than you do. I mean, that's the sort of thing that would come out. And by the way, a 9/11 style commission would have subpoena power. They could subpoena Donald Trump. They could subpoena Kevin McCarthy. They could subpoena the congresswoman from the state of Washington who McCarthy told what Trump had said. Remember, the impeachment hearing, she was the one, pardon me, I forget her name, who was almost called to testify. So all that dirty laundry comes out. If you're Mitch McConnell, if you are Machiavellian Mitch, this is perfect. Your fingerprints aren't on it. You stood back and let there be a 9/11 style commission because the facts demanded it. The protection of democracy demanded it. Your constituents demanded it. And then you sit back and let it happen. They developed this file against Donald Trump's behavior on January 6th. It decimates any opportunity for Trump to run again in 2024. And you, Mitch McConnell, you are finally rid of the gum on your shoe because you don't like the guy. And you've made that very clear recently. So why don't you take that shot? What's the answer to that question? What is the answer to that question? It's twofold. It's a twofold answer. Part one is because McConnell wants to be, he wants to be the majority leader. That's his first priority. Nation be damned. They're all self-interested. He wants to be back in that position. That's answer number one. But answer number two is because he believes that if there's a dirty laundry file developed by a January 6th commission all about Trump, it won't matter. It won't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what facts would be developed because the base of the party, they're not going to accept it anyway. And Trump will still be their standard bearer. That's my theory. Something today that Karen Tumulty writes in the Washington Post comes close to this. She says, anything that looks back at the final ugly spasms of the Trump presidency as opposed to pressing the case against the current occupant of the White House and his party would hurt the Republican chances for gaining back control of Congress, McConnell acknowledged to reporters on Tuesday. Okay, that's answer number one, but then she comes closer to it. On its face, quashing the proposed commission, which would have been structured on the model of the one set up after the 9/11 terror attacks, is yet more evidence of the hold that Trump still has on his party. And then here's the key part. The more dangerous truth is that not an insignificant portion of the GOP's Trumpian base actually appears to believe that the violent mob was justified in its effort to disrupt Congress as it conducted its pro forma tally of the electoral votes that made Joe Biden the 46th president. And she goes on to talk about brand new survey information, a Public Religion Research Institute and the Interfaith Youth Corps survey. I don't know who the hell they are, candidly, but it shows that fully 20% of more than 5,500 adults, that's a big sample size, 28% of Republicans among them, said they agree with this statement. There is a storm coming soon that will sweep away the elites in power and restore the rightful leaders. That's QAnon stuff. So that's a staggering percentage. 28% of Republicans believe in this QAnon prophecy. So they're not going to accept the result of some 9/11 style commission that looks at the events of January 6th. And McConnell knows that. So his calculus was this. It's like, I want to get rid of Trump. I also want to be the majority leader of the Senate. In fact, I want to be majority leader more than anything else. So if the choice is me majority leader or get rid of Trump, I'm taking me majority leader, clearly. But can I get rid of Trump? Let's see. I can let this 9/11 commission type thing go forward and bad information is going to come out about Trump. It's going to be really embarrassing to Trump. Maybe it'll do in Trump. Oh, wait a minute. It's the base of the party. Nothing's going to do him in. 28% of them are QAnon types. And hence, McConnell says, the hell with it. No 9/11 style commission. That protects Trump. That's not my goal. My goal is to protect myself and also not to waste, in a metaphorical sense, a political bullet. You're going to come for the king? You best not miss. That's the rest of the story. That is the rest of the story. So, one other thing I'll mention, and that is that today I'm asking this lab leak versus a natural cause, the development of COVID-19, did it occur naturally or by virtue of a leak from that Wuhan lab? Make sure you go to smerconish.com and cast a survey question answer. That sounded odd. Vote on today's survey question, which is asking that question today. I'm going to do a commentary on CNN today talking about how, sadly, the origin of COVID-19 has become yet more partisan fodder. And some among us, including some telephone callers to my program this week, the who cares crowd, like, who cares where it came from? They're just people who are nervous that in the end, it turns out it was a lab leak and that will be perceived as a win for Donald Trump. I don't care who it's perceived as a win or loss for. I just want to know the truth. Where did it come from so we can prevent it from happening again? Harvey S., given your analysis, God help us. Well, Harvey, it makes sense, doesn't it? They're all self-interested. No less than Matt Gaetz, a truthful thing that Matt Gaetz once told me, that when he got to Washington and interacted with his peers, he realized that their only goal, their only ambition is to stick around. On that, he was right. Where else? Thank you, James McDermott. QAnon is the third party. Man, I hope so. I hope so. Will there be a commission either way? Well, I mean, a good question. I'm sorry I didn't see who asked that. There'll be some type of inquiry, but because it'll be an inquiry supported only by the Democrats, Republicans will sit back and they will say that, I mean, there can be a select committee. And Republicans will say, well, this is nothing but a partisan witch hunt. Now, will the select committee have subpoena power? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. D. Scott Wiseman, term limits and campaign spending caps. Yeah, absolutely. I think they would vote completely different if there were an end to the tunnel where they had to leave, for sure. Tom, you like the new background? Well, today on television, I think we're going to ingrain some of these elements. I don't know if we're rolling out the whole package because it's a whole new look. It is a whole new look. Totally different than anything you're accustomed to seeing. It's amazing how this is done. Look at this. I'm just in front of a TV screen. I'll sit here. There won't be glare. There won't be glare. And my tie kind of matches too. So, yeah. All right, I got to get to work. Did my eyes clear? That stuff's amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I probably had about 4 hours sleep last night, but I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. I wish the background would be a bit larger, Yukari, but it'll look. You have to understand, when I'm on TV, it'll look sufficiently large. It only looks tiny now because I've let you see how the sausage is made. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel while you're here. Maybe even share this with a friend. It's a long weekend. I hope your weather is better than the northeastern part of the United States. I'm bummed for people who were headed to the shore this weekend and looking to really get back to some normalcy. And the weather forecast is just terrible, really terrible. So have a great weekend nonetheless. Think about those who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have off on a weekend like this. Vote on the survey question. Listen to TC After Dark, her brand new episode, which dropped on Thursday. And thank you so much for being interested in the sort of things that I discussed. Hope to see you on television in a little bit. See ya.